Welcome to Dreamlands. We are back in the deserts of Kharak, and I have got a pretty damn crazy game for you guys. We are going to have a 3v3 I played in the other night, and it was absolutely wild, so I wanted to share it with you guys. We have a pretty stacked lineup too of some very, very solid players, and I do believe we have also one player making their debut on the channel, so this should be pretty friggin' awesome. Alright, it is on Khar-Toba as well. Definitely the best 3v3 map. Let's get our bearings here. We are on the south side. So south side of Khar-Toba. What team are we? We're team 1. Team 1, it is going to be on the right side spawn location. Myself, your host and narrator, playing as the Galcian in a color scheme that I like a lot, the gray and black. I'm going to be taking up the right side spawn location. I can't remember who my teammates are even. So mid, oh yeah. So 10th Wave and Meerpat. Alright, so taking up the middle position, we're going to have 10th Wave, a player you all should be familiar with at this point. He is going to be playing the Coalition on the middle spot of the legendary Khar-Toba site. And taking the left spawn location, we are going to have Meerpat Galcian, a player that has been on the channel before, just once I believe. I cast him in a 1v1 or 2v2 or something like that. Anyway, he is also going to be playing as the Coalition, so Galcian and double Coalition on the south spawn. Our opponents, north side. We are going to have, first up, let me just check who these players are real quick so I can do their introductions. Alright, so first up, it is going to be once again Algol. He has been appearing on my channel quite frequently lately. He is a Knef player, and a pretty decent one at that. He's going to be taking up the right spawn location. Middle spot, we are going to have once again Klepto Bismol, a player who has appeared on my channel quite a few times and has been pretty impressive, to say the least, for a player that's relatively new onto the scene, making some really solid Coalition play, playing in his distinct red and black Coalition, and taking up the left spawn location, making his debut on my channel. It is going to be P. Bobbert, a player who is also relatively new, but who is actually quite good. I've been impressed with his play. I've been playing with him a lot lately, so I'm pretty excited to be able to cast a game with him in it. Khar-Toba, it is a tall order to cast a game on this map, but I will do my very best. I'm just going to pop into the Sensors Manager. I have gone Production Cruiser Refinery mode, if I remember this correctly. Indeed I have, so I've gone up to 2 bases straight away. Sandskimmer Fabrication, I'm starting to stream a couple of Sandskimmers onto the map, and I've gone for the right side artifact closest to the extraction zone. We do have a support cruiser on the field from 10th Wave going up to 2 bases, and Meerpat Galcian saturated his main and long hauling resources from his closest direct bulkhead. Who is this? 10th Wave also went for the middle artifact, and on the left hand side we have got P. Bobbert, who has grabbed the artifact closest to their extraction zone and is spewing out LAVs onto the field. He currently has 7 of them, and he is going to put a bunch of pressure onto Meerpat Galcian, who has absolutely nothing on the field. He has finished researching LAVs, but he doesn't have any units. He's fully saturated his wreck bulkhead, and he is about to come under a lot of pressure right now and is in a pretty bad spot. He's going to lose a bunch of salvagers. He's going to be forced back. Did go support cruiser first, but he's going to leave that home and bring his carrier out to bully these LAVs off. We've dunked a single artifact. We're about to dunk 2 and get the lead for a 2-1. And we have got some shenanigans going on from Meerpat Galcian. That's where his attention was. He sent a base runner all the way off to the side. Did a little bit of a turret rush here right at Algol's closest direct bulkhead. Oh, the turret placement though, just out of line of sight, unfortunately for him, so he is not going to be able to do any economic damage, and some nice use of smoke by Algol. Meanwhile, all of the players on Team 2 have basically gone up to 2 base economies, except for P. Bobbert, who is long hauling resources from his closest direct bulkhead and continuing to put pressure on the left side of the map. With a forward AAV now backing up his 7 LAVs. Do we have any armor upgrades? We do not have any armor upgrades. 10th Wave now going to come through mid with some AAVs. 1 armor upgrade on those guys. Help bully off P. Bobbert from the middle and left hand side of the map. I like 10th Wave's fan on his AAVs. What am I doing? I've got only a handful of sand skimmers, as well as some assault railguns with an armor upgrade. Kind of like my fast strike force. And I'm going to use them to support mid if I need to, or the right-hand side of the map should the need arise.
Hostile turret spotted.
10th Wave even has a couple of LAVs on the field now, supporting his AAVs, 3 of each. He has spotted P. Bobbert, and it looks like we're going to have our first proper engagement of the game as these forces clash on the crest of the dune here. Neither player, by the looks of it, wants to fully commit to this. Bobbert, playing as the Soban, I forgot to mention that, is going to come out with a pretty clutch targeting jammer, and 10th Wave isn't going to do jack about it, but he is just buying Mirpat some time to get back into the game, but now with his carrier in a forward position, as well as already power reserve 3, so he's going for a power rush build. Finally has some AAVs on the field and is spamming those upgrades.
Core set.
Allied craft lost.
Algol typically likes to go for massive amounts of assault ships, and you can see that's exactly what he's doing. He's brought his carrier out to the most forward position at his second wreck bulkhead, saturated his main, saturated his first wreck bulkhead, and is now going up to 3 bases. Khar-Toba 3 bases as well, and he is sending a force off to the right-hand side to support Algol. He's got a handful of AAVs, an LAV, and a couple of railguns as well. Bobbert now starting to spam out railguns on the left-hand side of the map. As you can see, 3v3s on this map typically take a little while before the action really gets intense, but with giant macro game ahead of us, I assure you this game is going to be very, very awesome. I was doing a little bit of harassment, but I've spotted the fact that Khar-Toba is over on this side of the map, and I might be in a position in the very near future where I am facing 2 players. We do have a little bit of scouting going on through mid. Oh boy, the forces of all players in this game currently are just starting to mass up. What are we on for 10th Wave? 5 AAVs and 4 LAVs. Mirpat Galcian has just got a single AAV on the field, which he's using just to scout and screen, a couple of railguns guarding the carrier, and basically just econ and power from him. I do have a second, big engagement right here as I'm trying to deliver the 3rd artifact of the game. We do have a 2-1 lead. Is the Space Runner going to make it? The answer is, I don't remember. It will be very, very close. Boom, made it. Nice. So we are up a 3-1 lead. I did set it at 7 artifacts. I wanted to have like a big epic game, and I was able to deliver that artifact with minimal losses, just skirmishing a little bit with my assault railguns and LAVs. Big engagement on the left-hand side of the map. 10th Wave sending in strike fighters, as well as LAVs and AAVs. Going in pretty deep against P. Bobbert. Going to use his strike fighters to try and put as much damage as he can on the railguns and AAVs. His own AAVs move in for a screen, but some nice micro from P. Bobbert. Check this out, split on the railguns. Was even able to keep that base runner alive, pretty much decimated 10th Wave's forces with some beautiful micro, some splits on his railguns, as well as some nice screening from those LAVs. We do have some damage upgrades as well as the boost with those AAVs, so very aggressive build. And Mirpat Galcian is slowly starting to push out with some units onto the field, just a handful of AAVs and rails. Back on the right side of the map, I do have 3 production cruisers now on the field, and I'm up to fully 3 bases. And I have researched interceptor fabrication, about to have 6 in the hangars, and just continuously roving back and forth across the map. I'm going to get my interceptors into the sky, start putting some damage out on these units of Khar-Toba, but he's already got a missile battery on the field, so beautiful play by him. It's going to force my interceptors off. However, he is moving his units back, which I think is a mistake. Now we're going to have a little bit of a showdown. Team 2 is able to bring the artifact count up to 2, so we're looking at 3 to 2, very, very close. And the problem our team is going to have is that Khar-Toba already has a siege cruiser on the field, a mass number of assault ships, and his Knef carrier, and they are camping our extraction zone, backed up by Khar-Toba's forces of tons of railguns, couple AAVs, as well as a missile battery. I'm going to try and get a flank off, draw his forces out a little bit, and buy myself a bit of time.
Move to destination.
I'm going to get forced off of my 3rd, and now 10th Wave is going to come over to my side of the map and assist me, and Mirpat is going to be left to his own devices, and he has some big, big problems on his hand. A gigantic army from P. Bobbert is basically boxing him in, but the most dire situation is on the right side, where we are getting pushed pretty heavily under the cover of some Knef artillery fire. However, I do have interceptors in the sky, and these assault ships are going to get pushed back before they can do any kind of damage to me whatsoever.
Understood. Resource target.
Defense alert. Enemy armor inbound.
Target position.
Defense alert. Interceptor under attack.
Huge amount of damage done to Algol's assault ships, going to push them into a full retreat, and 10th Wave and I are going to push up this side of the map. We are going to have probably a pretty giant battle unfold here very, very shortly. We do have a small skirmish going on as Mirpat tries to hold off P. Bobbert, but this is the big meat right here. We're going to have a pretty gigantic battle. 10th Wave is going to start laying in with his railguns, baiting out the artillery fire from a couple of Knef carriers on Algol's side. And I'm going to come in for a flank off of this dune here. Or am I trying to get a pincer attack in with some sand skimmers and some assault railguns? But the army here is just way too damn big, and we're not able to actually break this. 10th Wave is going to have to fall back and reinforce his units a little bit. I have been forced into a full retreat. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, P. Bobbert is still camping. He could actually push in right now and totally decimate Mirpat Galcian, but Mirpat, he has a nuke, actually. He's reached level 5 power, so he does have a cruise missile and enough resources to launch that bad boy. I'm going to try and catch it for when he does. We have mass LAVs now from 10th Wave backing up his railguns and AAVs. I've got a pretty giant ball of skimmers, and my assault railguns are going to be forced back to support 10th Wave while my interceptors come in for a flank and to try and put down one of these siege cruisers. Algol is up to 3. Gonna get one. Oh, and a cruise missile coming from downtown all the way across the map is gonna put the hurt onto Algol's carrier. Khar-Toba being a little bit apprehensive, but it looks like finally we are gonna have a giant showdown here between these two humongous armies.
Enemy railgun destroyed.
Core set.
10th Wave is pushing in pretty damn hard. He's just going to try and brute force it here with all of his ground forces as well as some strike fighters. He's going to take horrific casualties, however. I'm going to dodge all of those artillery barrages. But most importantly, Khar-Toba has been forced back. P. Bobbert still isn't pushing, so that's fine. They are escorting an artifact in, though, so they're about to tie it up with a 3-3. I've been forced to tech directly to siege cruisers, so I'm going to start using some of that artillery fire to try and force off Algol from camping our extraction zone.
Heretic forces are extracting an artifact. Heretic forces have lost the artifact.
What's going on over here? Mirpat Galcian, thankfully, for us anyway, thankfully P. Bobbert was playing pretty passively for the last little while. He is now up to 3 bases. Pretty much everybody's up to 3 bases at this point, and it is like kicked into full gear. We are looking at a full-on macro game now. This massively powered carrier is going to just be an absolute nightmare to deal with for P. Bobbert, and he let Mirpat get there, so that's pretty much the only reason our left flank hasn't completely collapsed. Right flank, gigantic battle brewing once again. I was able to sneakily grab an artifact and bring it all the way back. But let's get some nice cinematic footage. We have a gigantic army. I'm unleashing artillery fire onto our extraction zone to push Algol back. And 10th Wave and I are pushing in. Looks like I've decided to go in deep with my sand skimmers and assault railguns. try and force Klepto-Bismol back. He does have battle cruisers on the field now. Check that out. That's pretty scary. And a freaking huge army too.
Defense alert. Siege
It's 3-3 now, fully for both sides. I took an actual beating over here with both of my siege cruisers. Was managed to save one, got a second one now to replenish the numbers, and we are going to push on the left of the right flank. I know that's a little bit confusing, but we have like 2 battles going on over here on the right flank, and 10th Wave and I are going to push Klepto-Bismol pretty hard, force him to use smoke on his army, and then we are going to collapse onto Algol, who's camping pretty damn hard. I'm just blind firing with my artillery here. I've had enough time to power up my carrier pretty significantly, and so I'm going to try and dislodge this player once and for all, and we're going to have a freaking massive battle here.
Defense alert. Siege cruiser
10th Wave pushing in. Oh man, but he's going to see a fucking epic couple of mortars there and a battle cruiser. He's going to get wrecked while I just strafe back and forth behind him with some heavy railguns and bring in my carrier. Another cruise missile coming all the way across the map from Meerpat Galcian. Dodged beautifully by Algol. However, I was able to finally take out all of these assault ships pretty much, and we've even got a carrier from 10th Wave coming in with another cruise missile, and now Algol is in big trouble. Finally, Klepto-Bismol has been forced off, the damage has been done. 10th Wave and I are pushing with freaking huge armies now, and we are just going to try and force these players off of our side of the map, and it is probably going to work. We've got 2 very powerful carriers backed up by very large armies. I'm going to suicide my sand skimmers in here to try and get on top of this blob, keep them occupied, while 10th Wave and I push and force Algol off of here once and for all.
armor destroyed. Allied craft destroyed by enemy forces.
Algol is in a ton of shit right now, actually. He's forced to actually launch off a bunch of EMPs, damage on the carrier. 10th Wave's carrier is getting slightly overextended. You don't want to take on all of these units, but we're able to force these players off and sustained enough damage that we can focus on the left side finally. Meerpat Galcian is still holding his own magically. He took a beating on his carrier. I do apologize, I probably missed an absolute ton of crazy combat on this side. Meerpat's carrier is in desperate straits, down to like half health, and Pete Bobbert is slowly pushing forward. Look at this Soban bullshit right here. Just a giant field of ALMs covering the advance of his railguns. Meerpat's entire army has been decimated and his carrier has been brutalized. How much level of power do we have? 4 units of power in the ALMs. We were able to secure an artifact on the back of that. However, I am forced to go all the way onto the other side of the map. I'm a bit faster than 10th Wave. He is still pursuing Algol. Oh, Algol's carrier is so close to death. Is it going to go down? I don't remember it going down. I think it might, though. Oh, and indeed it does. I don't remember that happening. But Algol's carrier goes down in a pretty spectacular explosion. Oh, and a cruise missile decimates. Oh god, 10th Wave's entire railgun force was decimated by a beautiful cruise missile from Klepto-Bismol. Beautifully done. And now with this number of units, he is going to force 10th Wave back. I'm going to come all the way to the other side of the map to try and help Meerpat Galcian out, whose only military presence on the map appears to be some strike fighters, which blown out of the sky completely. And it looks like Team 2 is going to tie it up for a 4-4. Actually, no, they're going to take the lead with a 5-4. Bobbert being extremely dominant on this side of the map. Look at this field of ALMs. There's nothing we can do. If they get an artifact, they are going to deliver it. Meerpat Galcian's entire economy is in shambles as well. He lost both of his expansions and has been pushed back all the way to his main, which is almost mined out. So he is in a pretty bad spot right now. So Algol's carrier decimated. Meerpat Galcian has been effectively forced out of the game for the time being, so it is now down to a 2-2. I was able to secure another artifact, tying it up for 5-5.
Heretic craft detected.
And at this point in the game, I've decided that the most important thing is the extraction zone. We can't prevent Team 2 from delivering artifacts. So
Engage all targets.
I've also decided I can't prevent Mirpat from dying without coming all the way across the map, so I'm going to send a giant army all the way around and try and get a flank off on Klepto-Bismol and force him away from the right side of the map so that 10th wave can dominate. It looks like that plan is going to work. I'm going to clean up a bunch of salvagers, a bunch of logistics modules, and perhaps a support cruiser as well, and force both Klepto and Algol to come into the center and deal with this. Suiciding all of my sand skimmers once again. Well, pretty much all of them. And my railguns are keep moving. Oh boy, big push coming along our left flank by Bobbert. Look at his army, man. It is humongous. Massive amounts of railguns, even backed up by a sport cruiser, as well as LAVs and AAVs. Mirpat Galcian is in a ton of shit right now. He is forced to put all of his armor back, all of his power back into armor. He does have a cruise missile though, and enough power to use it. That could keep him in the game. Oh, cruise missile from 10th wave almost hits the mark, does a ton of damage to these railguns, but most of them were out of range. Oh, but I'm coming back over on this side with a missile barrage from my Knef carrier, or from my Galcian carrier.
Enemy support cruiser destroyed.
Gonna force P. Bobbert off and keep Mirpat in the game. But did I lose with my railguns? No, my railguns are all the way over here. I totally forgot what happened in this game. I just remember it being awesome. My railguns are going to pull a giant flank on Bobbert now that he is out of position and clean up his entire economy pretty much. Pretty huge, awesome army I've got here with like 8 heavy railguns. I think I got 9 assault railguns and 8 heavy railguns and a couple of skimmers left. Going to clean up a bunch of Bobbert's economy, going to force him to hole up on this side of the map. Meanwhile, I am about to get into a gigantic cataclysmic battle. I've snuck another artifact, and I'm just using my carrier, which has massive amounts of power at this point, and a lone siege cruiser to try and keep Algol and Klepto-Bismol at bay. I see a nuke. Where's that nuke going? Oh, right on top of my siege cruiser. Bam! Off it goes.
Moving to destination.
Beautifully done. I do have another siege cruiser over here. Somehow this base runner is still alive. Spamming out more sand skimmers. Oh, look at this though. Beautiful answer from Bobbert. Got his railguns in a very, very nice position in the center of this field of ALMs and going to get a giant flank off. Even a targeting jammer for good measure. Some beautiful Soban play. He's also going to grab a base runner on the back of that, so P. Bobbert doing extremely well. I'm going to lose my entire army on this side, actually. I'm going to abandon that side of the map completely, leave it to 10th wave and Mirpat Galcian. Oh, and a huge missile barrage from the Galcian carrier. Look at this, as well as a barrage from the siege cruiser. And Klepto-Bismol is in an absolute ton of shit. Pardon me. Still tied up with 5-5 though. So neither team really has enough of an advantage to call it a game at this point. The clock is running as well. We've only got about 6.5 minutes left in the game.
Sand skimmer advancing. Advance through contact.
Hostile armor destroyed.
Secure to watch. Secure the final artifact.
Oh man, so Team 2 actually took an advantage. They've got 6 artifacts, we've got 5. Just want to watch this in some cinematic glory because we've got a pretty epic battle. Look at this monstrous Galcian carrier. Just basically solo this entire army. I've got a flank coming of some railguns. 2 cruise missiles, Jesus Christ. Klepto-Bismol is hurting, man. And I'm going to pursue him with my carrier.
Enemy railgun destroyed. Allied forces are in contact.
Keep contact with us.
Hostile strike craft.
Beautiful.
destroyed.
Klepto-Bismol has been forced into a full retreat. I have got an artifact en route to the extraction zone, as well as a second base runner grabbing an artifact, hoping that I can run the timer and get either 7 artifacts or at the very least a tie and force it into sudden death. Meerpat's carrier is all the way over here, so he's abandoned his side of the map. He has nothing. He's just going to use his carrier to try and support me, best of my his ability. A couple of Knef siege cruisers over here. Oh god, cruise missile. Oh, gonna clean up both of my siege cruisers. I'm gonna unload with another missile barrage from my carrier and just charge it forward, try and push them back far enough, get a big flank out with a bunch of skimmers and some railguns. Hopefully buy us enough time to deliver these 2 artifacts and call it a game.
Secure the final artifact. Artifact extraction confirmed.
Man, this Galcian carrier is just insane. Got some epic battles going on. Let's just watch the last bit. So we are going to take the game with a 7-6. And let's just watch this last battle here with full cinematic glory. I hope I was able to keep up with this game, at least enough to make it a decent cast. I hope you guys enjoy watching it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so, and I will see you guys for the next video.